Jenny Martinez stood outside the gleaming glass entrance of Riverside Mall, watching her reflection shimmer in the afternoon sunlight. At 19, she had learned to make herself invisible in crowds, but today she needed to be brave. Her younger brother's birthday was next week, and she had finally saved enough from her weekend shifts at the diner and her weeknight stocking job at the grocery store to buy him the art supplies he desperately wanted. The automatic doors whooshed open, releasing a blast of refrigerated air that carried the scent of expensive perfume and new leather. Jenny tugged at the hem of her faded blue t-shirt, suddenly aware of how out of place she looked among the perfectly dressed shoppers, gliding past with their branded shopping bags. Her sneakers, held together with careful stitches her mother had sewn last month, squeaked slightly on the polished marble floor. She clutched the envelope in her jacket pocket containing $300 in cash. It had taken her 4 months of skipping lunches and walking the 3 miles to work instead of taking the bus. Every dollar represented a sacrifice, a choice between her needs and her brother's dreams. Miguel was talented, truly talented, and his art teacher had said he could qualify for a special summer program if he had the right materials. The mall stretched before her like a palace from another world. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, and the sound of a piano drifted from the center atrium where someone played soft jazz. Jenny had been inside exactly twice before, once when she was 12 and her father was still alive, and once last year when she had applied for jobs at every store, receiving polite rejections from each one. Her destination was Art Space Express on the 3rd floor. But she decided to take a quick detour. There was a clothing store her mother had mentioned once, a place that sold professional attire at reasonable prices. Rosa Martinez worked as a housekeeper at 3 different office buildings, and Jenny had noticed how her mother's work clothes were becoming threadbare, the colors fading from too many washes. The store was called Cascade Fashion, and its window displays featured elegant blazers and crisp button-down shirts on impossibly tall mannequins. A bold sign proclaimed end-of-season sale, up to 40% off. Jenny did the mental math quickly. If she could find something nice for under $50, she would still have plenty for Miguel's supplies and maybe even a small gift for her mother. She pushed through the heavy door, and immediately 2 pairs of eyes locked onto her. Behind the sleek white counter stood 2 young women, both wearing matching black dresses and expressions of thinly veiled disdain. The taller one, whose name tag read Brittany, elbowed her colleague, whose tag identified her as Madison. "May we help you?" Brittany asked, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Her gaze traveled from Jenny's face down to her worn sneakers and back up again, lingering on the frayed collar of her jacket. "I'm just looking." "Thank you," Jenny replied quietly, moving toward a rack of blouses near the back. She could feel their stares burning into her back, could hear their whispered conversation even though she couldn't make out the words. The blouses were beautiful, soft fabrics in blues and creams and pale pinks. Jenny checked the price tag on a simple navy one, $65. Her heart sank a little, but she kept looking, hoping to find something in her price range. "Those are imported Italian cotton," Madison said, suddenly appearing beside her. She reached past Jenny and adjusted the hangers with exaggerated care, as if Jenny might somehow contaminate them. "Very expensive. Perhaps you would be more comfortable at the discount stores on the ground floor." Heat crept up Jenny's neck. "I can afford to shop here," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Brittany had joined them now, forming a barrier between Jenny and the rest of the store. "Of course, sweetie," she said with a patronizing smile. "But we do have standards. This merchandise is for our premium customers. People who can actually, afford it." "I have money," Jenny insisted, her hand instinctively moving to protect the envelope in her pocket. "Really?" Madison crossed her arms. "Because last week we had someone come in, try on half the store, and then claim they lost their wallet. We wasted ours putting everything back. So forgive us if we're a little skeptical when someone who looks like they can barely afford those shoes comes in asking about Italian cotton." The words hit Jenny like physical blows. She wanted to pull out the envelope, to prove them wrong, to show them the money she had worked so hard for. But something stopped her. Maybe it was pride, or maybe it was the knowledge that she didn't need to prove anything to people like this. I should go, Jenny said. Turning toward the exit, probably for the best, Brittany called after her. There's a thrift store about 2 blocks from here. Much more your style. Jenny pushed through the door, blinking back tears that she refused to let fall. Behind her, she could hear the 2 women laughing, their voices carrying out into the mall corridor. She walked quickly, blindly, now paying attention to where she was going. She collided with someone solid, stumbling backward. I'm so sorry, she gasped, looking up to see a security guard steadying her by the elbow. Hey, you okay? Tom Chen, according to his badge, was older, maybe in his 50s, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. You look upset. I'm fine, Jenny lied, wiping at her eyes with the back of her hand. Just clumsy. Tom glanced past her toward Cascade Fashion, then back at her face. Let me guess. Brittany and Madison. Jenny nodded, not trusting her voice. Those 2. Tom shook his head. This isn't the first complaint. They think because they sell expensive clothes, they can treat people like trash. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's okay, Jenny said, even though it wasn't. I shouldn't have gone in there. Now that's not true, Tom said firmly. You have every right to shop anywhere in this mall. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. But as Jenny made her way to the escalator, Tom's kind words couldn't erase the shame burning in her chest. She had been stupid to think she could walk into a place like that and be treated with respect. Money talked in places like this. Her $300 might as well have been 3 cents. The art supply store was busy with Saturday afternoon shoppers. Jenny moved through the aisles mechanically, selecting the items on the list Miguel's teacher had provided. Professional-grade colored pencils, a sketchbook with heavy paper, charcoal sticks, blending stumps, and a portable easel that was on sale. She added a set of acrylic paints, knowing how Miguel's eyes would light up when he saw them at the register. The total came to $247. The cashier, a friendly college student with blue streaks in her hair, carefully wrapped each item and placed them in a large bag with the store's logo. Someone's going to be very happy, she commented, handing Jenny her change. My brother, Jenny said, managing a real smile for the first time since the incident. He's turning 15. That's awesome. Tell him to keep creating. The world needs more artists. Jenny left the store feeling lighter, despite the heavy bag in her hand. She had $53 left, not enough for a nice blouse for her mother. But maybe she could find something small. A scarf or a piece of jewelry. She was passing Cascade Fashion again, taking the long way to the exit to avoid going directly past it, when she heard raised voices. Through the window, she could see Brittany and Madison clustered near the entrance. Their heads bent close together as they spoke to someone Jenny couldn't see. I really don't appreciate your tone, Brittany was saying loudly. We were just doing our job, protecting our merchandise. From a paying customer? The voice that responded was female, older, with a crisp authority that cut through the air. I've been standing here for 10 minutes watching you to ignore actual shoppers while you gossip. And from what I understand, you harassed a young woman earlier? Ginny slowed her pace, curiosity overcoming her desire to leave that girl. Madison scoffed. Please. She clearly couldn't afford anything here. We were saving everyone time, I see, as the unseen woman's voice grew colder. And how exactly did you determine what she could or could not afford? X-ray vision that lets you see into wallets. Tom Chen had appeared near the store entrance, and when he spotted Jenny, he waved her over. Against her better judgment, she approached. This is her, Tom said as Jenny reached them. This is the young lady they were rude to. The woman who turned to face Jenny was not what she expected. She wore jeans, expensive looking but still casual, and a simple gray sweater. Her silver hair was cut short in a stylish bob, and her face was makeup-free, showing smile lines and the kind of confidence that came from years of not caring what others thought. She looked to be in her 60s, and there was something fierce and protective in her dark eyes. Hello, dear, she said warmly to Jenny. My name is Patricia Richardson, but everyone calls me Patty. Tom here just told me what happened. Would you be willing to tell me your side of the story? Jenny hesitated, glancing at Brittany and Madison. who had emerged from the store and were now standing with their arms crossed, looking annoyed rather than worried. "It's okay," Patty encouraged. "I promise you, whatever you say, there will be no retaliation." So Jenny told her. She explained about saving money for her brother's birthday, about wanting to find something nice for her mother, about the way the two saleswomen had looked at her and spoken to her, making assumptions based on her appearance. As she spoke, her voice grew stronger, the shame transforming into righteous anger. "They made me feel like I didn't belong," Jenny finished. "Like I was somehow less than human because my clothes aren't new and my shoes are old." Patty listened without interrupting, her expression growing more thoughtful with each word. When Jenny finished, she turned to Brittany and Madison with a look that could have frozen fire. "Is this true?" she asked simply. "We were just being cautious," Brittany defended. "You don't understand what it's like dealing with all kinds of people. Some of them come in here just to waste our time." "I understand perfectly," Patty said. "I also understand that you judged this young woman based on nothing but her appearance, made her feel unwelcome in a public store, and likely violated several company policies regarding customer service. What I don't understand is why you think that's acceptable behavior." "Look, lady, I don't know who you think you are," Madison started, her voice sharp with irritation. Patty smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "Let me help you with that. I'm Patricia Richardson, founder and former CEO of TechBridge Solutions. Perhaps you've heard of it. We're only the company that developed the point-of-sale system your store uses. We're also the primary investor in Riverside Mall properties, which makes me a partial owner of this entire shopping center." The color drained from both women's faces. "Now," Patty continued, her voice pleasant but filled with steel, "I'm going to make a phone call to your district manager, whom I happen to know quite well. And then I think we need to discuss what real customer service looks like. But first," she turned to Jenny, and her expression softened completely. "Sweetheart, I want you to come with me. And bring that bag of art supplies. We have some shopping to do." Jenny stood frozen in the middle of the mall corridor, unsure if what was happening was real or some kind of elaborate dream brought on by stress and humiliation. Patty Richardson, the silver-haired woman who had appeared like some kind of avenging angel, was looking at her with such genuine warmth that Jenny felt her throat tighten with unexpected emotion. "I don't understand," Jenny managed to say. "You don't have to do anything for me. I just want to go home." Patty reached out and gently touched Jenny's shoulder. "I know I don't have to. I want to. Do you know why I come to this mall every few months, dressed in my regular clothes instead of my business suits? Because I like to see how people treat other people when they think there's no consequence. And today, I saw exactly what I needed to see." Tom Chen, who had been watching the whole exchange with barely concealed delight, nodded encouragingly at Jenny. "Miss Richardson is good people. Trust me, I've worked here for 8 years. When she says she wants to help, she means it." Brittany and Madison had retreated back into Cascade fashion, and through the window, Jenny could see them frantically making phone calls, their earlier confidence completely shattered. A small, unworthy part of Jenny felt satisfied seeing their panic, but mostly she just felt exhausted. "I really should get home," Jenny said, holding up the bag of art supplies. "My mother will worry if I'm late. Let's make this quick," Patty said decisively. She pulled out her phone and made a brief call. "David, I'm at Riverside Mall, 3rd floor near Cascade Fashion. Can you come up? And bring the cards." She hung up and smiled at Jenny. "My assistant. He's very efficient." Within minutes, a young man in his 30s appeared, slightly out of breath from hurrying. David Kim wore slacks and a polo shirt, and he carried a leather portfolio under his arm. He took one look at the situation, his gaze moving from Patty to Jenny to the art supply bag to the two saleswomen visible through the store window, and his expression suggested he understood everything immediately. "Another one?" he asked Patty with a slight smile. "Another one," Patty confirmed. "David, this is Jenny Martinez." "Jenny, this is David, who keeps my life organized and occasionally enables my spontaneous acts of retail justice." David extended his hand to Jenny, his handshake warm and professional. "Pleasure to meet you, Jenny. Fair warning, when Ms. Richardson gets that look in her eye, it's best to just go with it. Fighting only prolongs the inevitable." "I'm not a charity case," Jenny said, the words coming out more defensive than she intended. I have money. I can buy things for myself. Of course you can, Patty said immediately. And the fact that you saved for 4 months to buy art supplies for your brother tells me everything I need to know about your character. This isn't about charity, Jenny. This is about making a point. Those women in there humiliated you because they made assumptions. I want to show them, and you, that their assumptions were not only cruel, but completely wrong. Before Jenny could respond, a harried-looking man in an expensive suit came rushing up to them. His face was flushed, and he was slightly sweating despite the mall's air conditioning. Miss Richardson, I'm Frederick Walsh, the manager of Cascade Fashion. I just received a call from our district office about an incident. Patty's expression remained neutral. Mr. Walsh, yes, there was an incident. Your employees Brittany Hughes and Madison Clark engaged in discriminatory behavior toward this young customer. They made judgments based on her appearance and essentially told her she wasn't welcome in your store. Frederick Walsh turned to Jenny, and she could see genuine concern in his eyes. Miss, I am profoundly sorry. That behavior is absolutely not representative of our company values. I would like to invite you back into the store to personally assist you with anything you need, completely free of charge. That won't be necessary, Jenny said quickly. I just want to leave. Actually, Patty interjected, I think it is necessary. Not the free part, I'll be handling that, but the coming back inside part. Mr. Walsh, I want you to personally assist Jenny in selecting anything and everything she wants from your store. Not for her sake, though she deserves it, but because Brittany and Madison need to watch. They need to see the customer they dismiss being treated with the respect she should have received from the beginning. Jenny's heart was pounding. Ms. Richardson, I can't let you buy me clothes. That's too much. Patty turned to her, and there was something fierce and protective in her gaze that reminded Jenny of her own mother. Jenny, I made my first million before I turned 30. I sold my company 5 years ago for more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. I have a foundation that gives away millions every year to worthy causes. But sometimes, the most important thing isn't the big donations or the tax-deductible contributions. Sometimes it's looking one person in the eye and saying, you matter. Your dignity matters. The way you were treated was wrong, and I want to make it right. Will you let me do that? Jenny felt tears welling up again, but this time they weren't from shame. She thought about her mother working 3 jobs and never complaining. She thought about Miguel, so talented but limited by circumstances beyond his control. She thought about all the times she had made herself small, visible, trying not to take up space in a world that seemed to have no room for people like her. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The next hour felt like stepping into an alternate reality. Frederick Walsh himself escorted Jenny through Cascade Fashion, his attention completely focused on her needs. Brittany and Madison had been relegated to the back room, but Jenny could feel their presence, could imagine them watching through whatever security cameras the store had. What does your mother do? Patty asked as Jenny hesitantly touched a beautiful cream-colored blouse. She's a housekeeper, Jenny replied. She cleans office buildings. She works so hard, and her clothes are so worn out. I wanted to get her something nice, something that would make her feel special. Then we'll get her an entire professional wardrobe, Patty declared. What size is she? For the next 40 minutes, Jenny selected items in her mother's size, blouses in soft colors, comfortable slacks with a professional cut, a blazer in charcoal gray that would go with everything, comfortable flats that looked professional but wouldn't hurt after hours of standing. Frederick brought out items from the back that weren't even on the floor yet, eager to please. Now for you, Patty said when they had accumulated a substantial pile of clothes for Rosa Martinez. I don't need anything, Jenny protested. Need and deserve are 2 different things, David chimed in. He had been standing quietly to the side, but now he stepped forward. Jenny, I grew up poor. Like really poor. Immigrant parents, tiny apartment, government assistance, poor, and I learned to make myself invisible too. I learned to expect less, to not ask for things, to be grateful for whatever scraps came my way. It took me years to unlearn that. Don't make the same mistake. His words hit Jenny harder than she expected. She looked around the store, at all the beautiful clothes she had never imagined owning. And something inside her cracked open. "I have a job interview next month," she heard herself saying. "At the community college, in their administrative office. I don't have anything professional to wear." Patty beamed. "Then let's fix that." They selected to interview outfits, both professional but young enough to suit Jenny's age. A navy suit with a skirt and pants option, a crisp white shirt, a softer blouse in pale blue, and shoes that were both comfortable and polished. Then, because Patty insisted, they added casual clothes, jeans that actually fit properly, sweaters in jewel tones, a winter coat that was both warm and stylish. At the register, Frederick Walsh rang everything up personally. The total came to just over $3,000. Jenny felt faint looking at the number on the screen. Patty handed over a credit card without even blinking. "And I want you to note in your system that Jenny Martinez is a valued customer who should be treated with the utmost respect if she ever returns to this store." "Absolutely," Frederick agreed. "Ms. Martinez, I cannot apologize enough for how you were treated. Brittany Hughes and Madison Clark have been suspended pending a full investigation. This is not how we do business." As they left the store, loaded down with shopping bags that David helped carry, Jenny saw Brittany watching from the back room. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and Jenny saw something unexpected there. Not anger, but shame. Real, genuine shame. Outside the store, Jenny turned to Patty. "I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Patty said with a mysterious smile. "We're not done." "David, what's next on my schedule?" David checked his phone. "You have dinner with the mayor at 7, but you're free until then." "Perfect." "Jenny, do you have time for a late lunch? I'd like to hear more about you, your family, and those job prospects you mentioned." They ended up at a quiet restaurant on the top floor of the mall, a place Jenny had walked past dozens of times, but never dreamed of entering. Over salads and sandwiches that cost more than Jenny usually spent on groceries for a week, she found herself telling Patty everything. About her father dying when she was 14, about her mother's 3 jobs, about Miguel's talent and her own dreams of eventually transferring to a 4-year university to study social work. "I want to help people," Jenny explained. "People like my family who work hard but can never seem to get ahead. I want to understand the systems that keep people trapped and figure out how to change them." Patty listened intently, asking thoughtful questions and nodding at all the right moments. When Jenny finished, Patty sat back in her chair with a thoughtful expression. "I started my company with $5,000 I borrowed from my aunt," Patty said. "I was 24, had a computer science degree from a state school, and an idea that everyone said was too ambitious. I spent the first 5 years working 100-hour weeks, living on ramen noodles and determination. I know what it's like to be underestimated because of where you come from or what you look like."
Ow.
She pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. "This is my personal number. I want you to call me after your interview at the college. Regardless of how it goes, I'd like to talk to you about some opportunities." "What kind of opportunities?" Jenny asked cautiously. "My foundation gives scholarships to promising students from underserved communities. We also have a mentorship program. And I'm always looking for bright young people to join our team, even in part-time or intern positions. You're clearly intelligent, hard-working, and you have the kind of perspective we need more of in the nonprofit sector." Jenny stared at the card in her hand, afraid to believe this was real. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." "I know enough," Patty said firmly. "I know you saved for 4 months to buy art supplies for your brother. I know you wanted to spend your hard-earned money on work clothes for your mother. I know you handled being humiliated with grace and dignity, and I know that, when given the chance to get revenge on those saleswomen, you didn't take it. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." David, who had been quietly eating his lunch, added, "Ms. Richardson has a gift for spotting potential. When she offered me a job 8 years ago, I was working 3 part-time positions and living in my cousin's garage. Now I'm her executive assistant. I have my MBA, and I'm being considered for a director position at the foundation. She changes lives. It's kind of her thing." Jenny felt overwhelmed by emotion. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll call me," Patty replied simply. Say you'll keep working hard and believing in yourself. And say you'll remember this day the next time you're tempted to judge someone based on their appearance or circumstances. As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Tom Chen appeared, slightly out of breath. Ms. Richardson? Sorry to interrupt, but there's something you should know. After you left Cascade Fashion, about a dozen customers came forward to complain about Brittany and Madison. Apparently today wasn't an isolated incident. The district manager is here now, and he wants to speak with you and Jenny if you have time. They returned to find a small crowd gathered outside Cascade Fashion. The district manager, a woman in her 40s named Helen Rodriguez, approached them with an apologetic expression. Ms. Martinez, I owe you a profound apology on behalf of our entire company, she said. After reviewing security footage and interviewing witnesses, it's clear that what happened to you today was completely unacceptable. Brittany Hughes and Madison Clark have been terminated, effective immediately. Jenny felt a complex mix of emotions. She hadn't wanted anyone to lose their jobs, but she also remembered the casual cruelty in their voices, the way they had made her feel worthless. I hope they learn from this, Jenny said finally. I hope they understand that how you treat people matters. Helen nodded gravely. I hope so too. In the meantime, we would like to offer you a lifetime discount card for our stores. And we're implementing new training protocols for all our staff on diversity, inclusion, and respectful customer service. As the crowd dispersed and the drama finally settled, Patty walked Jenny to the mall exit where her mother would be picking her up. The sun was setting, casting golden light through the glass doors. This has been the strangest day of my life, Jenny admitted. Looking at the numerous shopping bags David had helped load onto a luggage cart. Strange can be good, Patty said with a smile. Jenny, I meant what I said about calling me. I see something special in you. Don't let anyone make you believe you're less than you are. When Rosa Martinez's old sedan pulled up, Jenny helped load the bags into the trunk. Her mother stared at the haul in confusion and concern. Mia, what is all this? Where did this come from? It's a long story, Mama, Jenny said, climbing into the passenger seat. A really long story. But the short version is that something bad happened, and then something amazing happened. And I think maybe our lives are about to change. As they drove away, Jenny looked back to see Patty and David standing by the mall entrance, waving. She waved back, clutching the business card in her hand like a talisman. A promise of possibilities she had never dared to imagine. 3 weeks later, Jenny sat in the waiting area of the Richardson Foundation offices. Wearing the Navy interview suit Patty had bought for her, the job interview at the community college had gone well, really well, and they had offered her the position starting the following month. But when she had called Patty to share the good news, as promised, Patty had invited her to come in for a different kind of conversation. The foundation occupied the top 3 floors of a modern building downtown. The walls were covered with photographs of smiling people, students receiving scholarships, community centers being opened, families standing in front of new homes. Each picture represented a life changed, a dream realized. Jenny Martinez. A young woman with a tablet approached her. Ms. Richardson is ready for you. I'm Rachel Santos, by the way. I coordinate our scholarship program. Rachel led Jenny through a maze of offices where people worked at standing desks, collaborated in glass-walled conference rooms, and moved with the purposeful energy of those who loved their jobs. They stopped at a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Patty looked up from her desk and smiled broadly. Jenny, come in, come in. Congratulations on the college job. I knew they'd be smart enough to hire you. Thank you, Jenny said, still feeling slightly surreal about all of this. And thank you again for everything at the mall. My mother cried when she saw the clothes. Real tears. She said she felt like $1 million wearing them to work. Music to my ears, Patty said. Sit, please. I want to talk to you about something important. Jenny settled into a comfortable chair across from Patty's desk. Through the window, she could see the whole city spread out below them, including the distant shape of Riverside Mall. I've been thinking about what happened that day, Patty began. Not just the incident with those saleswomen, but everything it represents. The way we treat people based on appearances, the assumptions we make about worth and value, the barriers we create that keep talented people from reaching their potential. And I had an idea. She turned her computer monitor so Jenny could see it. On the screen was a proposal document titled The Dignity Initiative, Retail Training and Community Impact Program. I want to create a program that partners with retailers to provide comprehensive training on bias, customer service, and inclusive practices, Patty explained. But more than that, I want to create pathways for young people from underserved communities to enter retail management, to have a voice in how these businesses operate. And I want you to help me build it. Jenny stared at the screen, trying to process what she was hearing. Me. But I don't have any experience with program development or corporate training or any of that. You have something more valuable, Patty countered. You have lived experience. You know what it feels like to be judged, dismissed, made to feel less than? That perspective is essential. Yes, we'll pair you with experienced program directors and trainers. But your voice, your story, that's the heart of this. I don't understand, Jenny said slowly. What exactly are you offering me? Patty leaned forward, her expression intense with enthusiasm. Job. Full-time. Starting after you complete your associate's degree next spring. You'll work as a program coordinator for the Dignity Initiative. We'll pay for you to finish your bachelor's degree part-time while you work. David will mentor you, and you'll have access to training and professional development. The salary is $55,000 a year to start, with benefits and room for growth. Jenny felt the room spin slightly. $55,000. That was more than her mother made working 3 jobs. That was enough to move out of their cramped apartment, to help Miguel with his education, to finally stop living paycheck to paycheck. I need you to understand something, Patty continued. This isn't charity, and it's not some feel-good gesture. I'm offering you this job because I genuinely believe you're the right person for it. But you'll have to work hard. You'll have to learn quickly. You'll face challenges and setbacks. Are you ready for that? Jenny thought about the girl she had been 3 weeks ago, standing outside the mall, nervous about spending money she had carefully saved. She thought about Brittany and Madison, whose cruelty had inadvertently opened a door to a future she had never imagined. She thought about her mother's tears of joy over simple work clothes and Miguel's excitement about his art supplies. Yes, she said firmly. I'm ready. Patty's smile could have lit up the entire city. Excellent. Now let's talk about the immediate steps. Over the next hour, they discussed the program in detail. The Dignity Initiative would launch with Cascade Fashion as a pilot partner. Frederick Walsh had personally reached out to Patty, expressing his company's commitment to making real changes. They would develop training modules addressing unconscious bias, classism, and respectful customer service. They would create internship programs for students from low-income backgrounds, providing pathways into retail management. But here's the part I'm most excited about, Patty said, pulling up another document. The community impact component. For every store that completes our training program, we'll partner with them to provide professional clothing to job seekers in need. Free of charge. No questions asked. We'll call it Dressed for Success, and it'll be a permanent program. Jenny felt tears prickling her eyes. That's beautiful. It's necessary, Patty corrected gently. You shouldn't have felt like you didn't belong in that store, Jenny. No one should. And while we can't change society overnight, we can change how businesses operate within it. We can create pockets of dignity and respect that hopefully spread outward. There was a knock on the door, and David entered, carrying a tray with coffee and pastries. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought you might need sustenance. These conversations with Ms. Richardson tend to run long. David, perfect timing, Patty said. Jenny's accepted the position. She'll be joining us next spring. David set down the tray and shook Jenny's hand warmly. Welcome to the team. Fair warning, Patty is a demanding boss. She expects excellence, accountability, and complete honesty. She's also the best mentor you'll ever have. Stop making me sound scary, Patty protested, but she was smiling. Jenny, there's one more thing. I'd like to do a small media piece about what happened at the mall. Nothing exploitative, just a local news segment about the importance of treating all customers with respect. Would you be comfortable sharing your story? Jenny hesitated. Will they use my name? Only if you want them to. We can keep you anonymous if you prefer. Jenny thought about all the people who had probably experienced similar humiliation, who had walked out of stores feeling small and worthless. She thought about the power of speaking up, of refusing to accept cruelty as normal. "Use my name," she said. "If my story can help change even one person's mind about how they treat others, it's worth it." 2 days later, Rebecca Santos from Channel 7 News came to interview Jenny at the Richardson Foundation offices. Rebecca was in her early 30s, with an easy smile and a gift for making people feel comfortable on camera. "Just tell me what happened in your own words," Rebecca encouraged. "Don't worry about being polished. Authentic is better than perfect." So Jenny told her story again, this time for the camera. She described saving money for months, wanting to buy something nice for her mother, the way Brittany and Madison had looked at her and spoken to her. She talked about Patty's intervention, but she focused more on the larger message. "It's not really about me," Jenny said, looking directly into the camera. "It's about all the people who get judged every day based on their clothes, or their accent, where they live, how much money they have. We're all human beings deserving of basic respect and dignity. That shouldn't be conditional on our bank accounts." The segment aired 3 days later during the evening news. Jenny watched it with her mother and Miguel in their small living room, all three of them crowded on their worn couch. "That's my sister," Miguel shouted when Jenny appeared on screen. "She's on TV." Rosa Martinez held Jenny's hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Mia, I am so proud of you. Your father would be so proud." The response was immediate and overwhelming. The foundation's phone lines lit up with calls from people sharing their own stories of retail discrimination. Cascade Fashion issued a formal public apology and announced they were partnering with the Richardson Foundation to implement the Dignity Initiative across all their stores. Nationwide. Other retailers reached out, wanting to participate, but the most meaningful response came from an unexpected source. A week after the segment aired, Jenny received a letter at the foundation offices. It was handwritten on plain notebook paper, and the return address was local. "Dear Jenny," it began. "My name is Brittany Hughes. You probably don't want to hear from me, and I understand if you throw this letter away without reading it. But I needed to try to tell you how sorry I am. What I did to you that day was cruel and wrong. I've spent the last month trying to understand why I acted that way, and the honest answer is that I had become someone I don't recognize. Working in retail, dealing with difficult customers, I started building walls. I started making snap judgments to protect myself from feeling like I was being taken advantage of. But somewhere along the way, those walls turned into weapons. I hurt people who didn't deserve it. Losing my job was the wake-up call I needed. I've been working with a therapist, examining my own biases and where they come from. I've volunteered at a local community center, working with kids from all different backgrounds. I'm trying to be better. I'm not asking for forgiveness, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I just wanted you to know that what happened that day changed me too. You handled everything with such grace and dignity, and it made me take a hard look at who I had become. Thank you for that, even though I don't deserve your thanks for anything. I hope your life is full of good things. You deserve every opportunity and kindness that comes your way. Sincerely." Brittany Hughes. Jenny read the letter 3 times, feeling a complicated tangle of emotions. She thought about how easy it would be to dismiss Brittany's apology as self-serving, to hold on to her anger and hurt. But she also remembered David's words about not letting bitterness take root, about the importance of growth and change. She showed the letter to Patty during their next meeting. "What do you think?" Patty asked after reading it. "I think people are complicated," Jenny said slowly. "I think Brittany was cruel to me, and that was wrong. But I also think that if she's genuinely trying to change, trying to be better, that matters. That's the whole point of what we're doing, isn't it? Creating opportunities for growth and understanding." Patty nodded approvingly. "That's very mature of you. Are you going to respond?" "I think I will," Jenny decided. "Not right away, but eventually. Maybe just a short note saying I appreciate her honesty, and I hope she continues working on herself." As spring arrived and Jenny prepared to start her new position at the foundation, she found herself reflecting on how much had changed in just a few months. The job at the community college had been good, but it was clear that her future lay with the Dignity Initiative. She had already started attending planning meetings, contributing ideas, and learning from the experienced staff. Miguel had been accepted into the special summer art program, thanks in part to a scholarship from the Richardson Foundation. Rosa Martinez had been able to cut back to 2 jobs instead of 3, allowing her to finally have time for herself, to rest, to live, instead of just survive.